Oh,
Now we're live.
Phil, that beard.
You were live.
That beard.
Yeah, it's a year old now.
Really?
Yeah.
We should have a little birthday for Phil's beard.
Yeah.
Like a little, you like smash some cake into it.
Some beer
Like-
cake.
He's so cute. Yeah. Have little family photos done.
Yeah.
Sick. Here we are.
All right, here we are. So I'm joined with Matt DeMille. Matt, you are a entrepreneur at this point. You've done so much with what you've achieved as a chef.
Yeah.
You're the owner of Matt DeMille Culinary.
Culinary. Used to be Eat with Matt DeMille.
Yep.
But I don't actually sit down and eat with you. I will for a certain price. But we kind of changed it to Matt DeMille Culinary because the business has grown and changed. So we thought like a broader name would sort of help it.
So give me a high level of what you are, like what you do right now and where you've come from, because I'm really interested in talking to you specifically about culinary. I mean,
Right.
you know I'm a big food nerd, so the idea of like talking about food for an hour is exciting.
It's great.
Yeah.
No, we've the last 6-7 years have been crazy. I mean, I've always absolutely loved food. It gets me super excited. I mean, it's the one sort of line of work that you can never stop learning, never stop traveling, you know. And when I left the restaurant industry 6 or 7 years ago, I was really struggling on sort of what was next, and I didn't think it was going to be a restaurant. I had done the restaurant thing, and it was really difficult to balance, to sustain with a small family. So I kind of just got like a big piece of grid paper, and I just kind of like just started throwing all my thoughts onto this piece of paper and knew that maybe they could tie in somehow. And what I sort of came to was cooking with people, because I love talking with people. I love interacting with people. And of course, working in a professional kitchen, 99% of the times that isn't the case. You know, you're behind closed doors, and you're interacting with the server. So that's when Eat with Matt DeMille was born. And from like the very first inception, like when it was a baby, it was just like in-house cooking lessons, or not in-house, I should say, but I come to your space and we conduct an in-house cooking lesson, very small scale, like 6-8 people. And from like the first days, it was like, okay, I bring you an apron. You and I have worked together on them before, right? Like I came to your house and it was like, oh, give that 3-year-old a chef's knife. We're going to cut up some root veg, you know, and there's like a 3-year-old cutting giant vegetables, and the mom is making dumplings, and the dad's, I don't know. So it was kind of shaky from the start, but people were learning, you know, people were having those aha moments, which is kind of my goal, was to sort of take what was seen as complicated cooking techniques and show to people like, this is how you sear a steak. It's not that hard. This is how you make delicious anything, you know, just showing them those techniques of how they can make restaurant quality food in their own homes. So that's where it started, small scale cooking lessons. And over the years, the ask and the need from people was, you know, can you do a party of 14? Can you do a bachelorette of like 22 people? And then finally in the last 2 or 3 years, it's been like, we need a special event catering, large scale catering. So over the last 3 years, we've really expanded and grown organically into large scale catering. So weddings, you know, 100 people, 120 people, 60 person weddings. And that's where we're sitting now. I also love to do consulting work. I've consulted for a few restaurants in the area, a few places in the area, which I absolutely love. And my schedule, my line of work really lends to that well, because I don't have a 9 to 5, or I don't have a Monday to Friday or Tuesday to Saturday job. So I can work with local organizations, local restaurants, and help them out. Love content creation, you know, cooking, shooting fun videos, and just posting those, and like, you know, again, helping people with what seem like complicated recipes, but showing them an easy way to do it through a video. And I guess one of the last things is brand ambassador work. I do work with a bread company called Boulart in Montreal. I've worked with them for about 4 or 5 years now. Recipe development, consulting, strategy work, and on-site, what's it called? Trade show, on-site, like trade show work, which is cool. And I'm about to sign a contract with Uni, pizza ovens to start with them next year. And so I'll be, yeah, you want a pizza oven, eh? That'll be in the contract for
where's the pizza?
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. I was supposed to bring pizza today. I'm really sorry. Phil, my pizza's in the trunk. Okay, we got pizza. Yeah, I brought pizza for the beard.
Do you want me to cut while you go get it?
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's just kind of busy. But when you have, as you know, when you have your own business, it's kind of like, and pardon the pun, but having all pots on the stove, you know what I mean? And just like, hey, here's the consulting work, here's the work, which is like the catering, which is, the meat and veg or whatever that saying is.
Potatoes.
The meat and potatoes.
Meat and veg potatoes.
Trying to sound smart here, okay, guys? It's the jelly beans and rice.
Jelly beans and rice, yeah.
So we got the consulting, we got that, and then the brand ambassador work. So it's just having all those things and balancing all those things, and still, honestly, having time to drive my kids to school in the morning, hanging out with them, having breakfast on Sundays. So it's going great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You took usually when you go, because you went through culinary school, correct?
Yes.
So usually your pathway for culinary school to job would be sous chef and then into becoming like an assistant chef basically, and then up to head chef eventually.
Right.
And the idea is to get as close as you can to actually running your own restaurant.
Yeah.
Right. So at what point did you decide that wasn't the path for you? Because I know there's a specific point that I remember you talking to me about where things just weren't going the way you wanted to, and that the person you were becoming as a chef was not who you needed to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the hours were getting so crazy. When and this doesn't go for every restaurant. This doesn't go for every person. There's something out there for everyone, and it works for a lot of people. But right before I left the restaurant industry, I was working 17-hour days. I would go in at 7:30 in the morning and I'd leave at 12:30 at night. And, when I left in the morning, my kids would be in bed. And when I got home at night, my kids would be in bed. So for me, that was just like, that hurt. I also have a bit of a temper. So when we would be in the kitchen and someone would make a mistake or someone would do something that I asked them not to, I would lose it. I'd get pretty upset and I'd say some things that I regret. And looking back on that now, it's just like, you yelled at people because of soup. You know what I mean? And it just didn't seem right. And I didn't like the person who I was becoming. I didn't like the person who I was. And I wasn't going to sacrifice my livelihood, my relationships to make hamburgers and soup. It just didn't make sense. Like if I was a brain surgeon or if I was saving the world, then I'd be like, hang on, this needs my attention.
Make some adjustments, but then keep doing what we're doing. Yeah.
And it's the type of thing that you can do anytime, anywhere. Yeah. It's not like I can, cook burgers for people and serve it to them other places. It's just, I wasn't happy with the type of person I was becoming. I wasn't happy with like the hours I was working, the lifestyle, because even when you do have time off, then you're just a ghost. Yep. You're hollow. And even when you do have time off, your phone is going crazy. Yeah. And that would filter into my family life. So, one story I remember in particular, I was in Kingston one day and we took the kids out for lunch. We were going shopping. And while we were out at lunch, I got a text from one of my sous chefs at the restaurant I was working at. And I directly, as I put my phone down, and I directly just became angry at the kids. So just that sort of like correlation, that link or that, what am I trying to say? Chain.
That trigger, right?
Yeah. That trigger of like, okay, because of this, you're mad at these people, the people that you love and like are parenting.
Because that's now become your entire brain space. You've gone from, being relaxed to this thing now occupies all the space. Because now you're figuring out all the problems and they're often easy solutions that should have been seen by the people. And that's what's making you angry is the fact that you're expecting them to do X, Y, Z and they're not performing at that level.
Instead of getting mad at them, or instead of getting upset at them or speaking to my people, I'm getting mad at the people over here that don't have,
they don't have ore in the water.
Right. So, it was just too much. You know what I mean? So I left, I took a couple months off And I saw some, I got some professional help. You know what I mean? I saw a therapist for a couple months, and that person really talked me through a lot. They introduced me to guided meditation, and that kind of brought me back around, and I made up a business. I made this thing up where I would go and talk to people and interact with people and be able to work, I don't want to say one day, but be able to do one event or two events a week and be good. I don't need to have 6 events a week. I don't need to be working 17 hours a day. I can do 1 or 2 events a week and I'm fine. Yeah. So yeah, we ended off things there, and like you and I, we've had these talks while we've been running
a lot,
and that probably couldn't happen if I didn't have my own business. So we couldn't, hey Ash, it's Friday morning, let's go for a run in the woods. Most chefs that I know have to be at work, or they have to be doing the ordering, and so that's kind of that was sort of where I made the decision, where it was just enough was enough. Yeah. And I think most chefs have a huge ego, so when you're in that chef mode, you're not going to say, you know what, I'm going to quit and start my own business, because your ego is so big that you're like, no, you're going to attack it, and you're going to attack it. You're like, nope, I'm good, I got this. Yeah. No, you're not good. You're not good. You're actually not doing great. And you need to just step back, look at things, and realize, I know now what's important. And it's funny, when I first left the restaurant industry, like I said, I took a couple months off, and I went to a few friends' restaurants, and my friend came out of the kitchen and he said, oh man, he's like, today has been such a crazy day, and I haven't seen my kids in a week. And looking from the outside in, you just realize how silly things can kind of be. And I'm not bad mouthing the restaurant industry. I'm not saying it sucks, don't do it. Yeah. It does, it does take a certain person to get in there and crush it. But
it's also a service in an industry that's a very specific thing. It gives you a lot as the person in the kitchen. Yeah. Right. So it gives you a lot to get into, and that's feeding the beast, right?
It's just, there's so many components. There's so many moving parts. Yep. That's
it's like directing a set. Almost.
Yeah.
I get it on that director level.
I did this, the University of Ottawa, I think it was. I did a chat with them, a Zoom chat with them last week, and it was an architectural class, and they were talking about, they have an assignment, they have to design a restaurant, kitchen, front of house, everything. And they're asking me where things go, and they're asking me how things move and how things flow. And by the end of the conversation, they were just like, wow, I can't believe it. I'm like, yeah, the paper towel has to go there, the garbage has to go there, the oil, the garbage, the food deliveries, the food, and there's just so much, it's kind of a bit of a joke in the industry, but there's this saying that when you're a chef, or when you're a restaurant owner, you're also a therapist, you're a plumber, you're a welder, you're a parent, you're a babysitter, you know what I mean? Because you have to do all those things.
100%. Yeah.
So it was a bit much. I got out. I shouldn't say I got out. That sounds a bit dramatic.
I think you pivoted. I think pivoting is very interesting, because I've seen, and we've talked to people on this table here about pivoting in specific, and going from one thing, later on in your life, not at the beginning, when you're younger and you're going up and you learn something, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Then you can change it, and it can become a lot simpler of a process. Yeah. But let's get into the weeds a bit and now do that same thing. The pivot can sometimes be hard, right? Because there's a lot of people out there who are like, I don't like doing this, or I want to change this. So what are some good, I like to give people takeaways, right? So what are some good takeaways to successfully pivoting? And is there such a thing as a fail-safe pivot?
I think, people are always changing, especially in your profession and also in relationships. So you can't be afraid to change. The change is going to come. So what you're doing in your teens, you're going to be doing something different in your 20s, you're going to be doing something different in your 30s, obviously, right? Yep. Look where you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Hugely different.
Same with me.
Yep.
So I think, one golden rule that I love to live by, if I'm launching anything, if it's the hot maple, if it's the videos, whatever, is look, and I actually think you might have mentioned this before, but look what the market's lacking, right? Yeah. What do we got a lot of around here? Yep. Pizza, burgers, and coffee and donuts.
Yeah.
What's the market lacking? And I don't mean, if you're going to pivot and do something,
hot chicken sandwich,
right?
That's what is lacking.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So
right.
look what the market's lacking. And I'm not saying like go way over and be like, there's lots of coffee and donuts. I'm going to do raw lamb sandwiches. Like don't go weird, but like what's the market lacking? That's kind of like a good thing that I like to look at. If you're, man, it sounds so hard to say this because on the other end, I was so afraid, but just be brave.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
And know that if you do want to pivot, if you want to try something new, if you want to get out there and do your own thing, be brave and just go for it. Because I know that sounds cheesy, but as long as you're working hard and you have a good head on your shoulders, then you're gonna do well.
Yep.
And my mom used to always say that to me. I always, my mom would just be like, as long as you're, things will fall into place. Mm-hmm.
I love this, and I want to say it's Tim Ferriss said this, but I could be horribly wrong. But he said, there's someone out there who is not as smart and less dedicated than you doing the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
And so that's the honest truth is I've always stuck by that. I'm like, well, I'm scared of doing this. Like, going and opening up a studio and starting an agency after spending so much time as a photographer. Everyone knew me as a photographer.
Yeah.
So how do I make that change and not lose all my clients and not do all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so we're slowly pivoting and slowly doing that, and it works really well. And I will say something to do with the cadence too is don't pivot so fast that people don't know where you're going.
Exactly. It might look sloppy.
Right? Yeah. So it's okay to start to drift from where you are to where you want to go, but showing that you have an anchor there still. So people can sit there and be like, oh, Matt's still a chef. He's just no longer in a restaurant. He's now working in people's homes and he's teaching and all of that. So, and the important thing, I think, and we kind of glossed over it, so I want to go back to it. As you're doing that pivot is to establish some new rules that effectively align with your new life, and which is boundaries. Because you've gone from a place where boundaries were not there and you needed to establish very specific boundaries to control the time of your family and the time of your business. Definitely.
And I think, people do relate boundaries with a negative situation, but boundaries from the get-go are very healthy. So I think, you whether it's on paper or whether it's said out loud or whether if it's just in your mind, just having a good set of boundaries, and then having those boundaries. And the only way that people can maybe get through those boundaries is if they pay me a good amount of money, or if it's someone special like a family member or a close friend. But yeah, I think it's just taking your values, and there's a point in your life that you're going to get to where this balance happens, where it's like, okay, I can do what I want to do, not be afraid of losing business or losing money. Because you're doing what you want to do. And it's like, whether this job is making me $60 or $600, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I know when it all boils down to it, it's like, you got to pay the bills. Mm-hmm. But if you're offering, like I said earlier, if you got a good head on your shoulders, you work hard, you're just a good person, and you're offering something that like the market doesn't have, then you're going to do great. You know what I mean? I think you're going to do okay. But yeah, having those boundaries is very important because, I don't know. It's you protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being married to a teacher, I've learned to spot and identify people who have hearts of teachers. And I've got very good at noticing who has a heart of a teacher. And so you have a heart of a teacher.
Hey.
You come from a place of you want to see people grow and you want to see people learn and experiment with new things and try and just grow in general. And so that's something that we align very much on.
For sure.
And I think that number one thing that we talk about when we're running really comes down to that. So how have you nurtured that teacher's heart in the recent years? I know you've done cooking in home with people, but what else are some of the things that you've done to help achieve that?
I just, deep down, I kind of want to build culture and build community. You know what I mean? I think, how are we going to move forward as a town, as a city, as a community, if we're just, no offense to Tim Hortons, but like, I'm just using this as an example, but if we're just sitting around drinking coffee and eating donuts, like how are we going to, if we're not showing people like how a podcast studio is set up, or what equipment to buy, or how to properly sear a steak, or how to make a great pizza, then how are we going to...
You incorporate that a lot into your social media too. Like I see you're always like, yes, I do this, but let me show you how we do this and why we do this, right? And it's like, that's one of the core like things that we do within AMP is we try to be very transparent, right? Like, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to achieve it, right? Because we ultimately want to make sure that it's right for you, but it's also going to achieve what you need it to be. And there's no point in going through all those steps if it doesn't achieve what you need. And
it kind of feels like a warm welcome, you know, like it's, you know, I want you to have that aha moment, you know? So it's like when we're working together and I show you, again, I know I keep using this as an example, but like a seared steak, how to like you just spent $60 on this big, beautiful strip loin to feed you and 6 of your friends. How do we properly cook it? And then it's like, there's one of those tips, one of those steps that you do this and it's like, now he knows. Well, and now you can do that anytime you have friends over.
And you can do that on such a large scale now, because where you are with your UGC, your user generated content.
Yeah.
Right. It's often very teaching oriented, right? So it's like, here's how I make, you know, the best steak sandwich or something like that. I love the fact that we can share so much now, right? Like social media has opened up the world when it comes to that and being able to give. Is there, and I know like I've asked Brady, my producer, this, and he said, you know, there's no such thing, put out as many videos as possible, because one guy might watch one of your videos a week or watch all 5 of them a week or all 10 of them. And it doesn't matter though, because it's never too much. But is there such a thing as oversharing? And at what point is there like a tipping point of oversharing and all of those negative things that go with it?
I think you kind of touched on it earlier, and it's like, you know, you don't want to pivot. I'll bring this back around, but you don't want to pivot too fast, because then it'll confuse people and you'll look sloppy. But I think, yes, it's good to like share things, because, you know, even if one person takes something away, great. But I think if it's just cooking, great. But if you're also like doing this, and if you're doing this, you know, if you're doing maybe too many things, it might look a bit sloppy. But if you're keeping it into your niche, I think people have huge bullshit detectors, you know, big time. So if I were to post something that didn't make sense, or that was like sloppy, or didn't really, exactly, I was just going to say align with my beliefs and my brand, the people can tell. So it's like, if you keep things tight, and I think that's fine. You can share as much as you want, you know, cooking videos, gear setups, podcasts, you know, because it's like, that's Ash, you know what I mean? And the only thing I would say against argue with myself is maybe people might say like, oh man, that guy's on his phone a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But also that's none of their business.
I mean, that's a negative in my mind if you're on your phone too much, because it's just removing, like, this is like the black screen between you and reality, right? So I like to make sure that there's nothing in between.
It's also like, why are you doing it? Are you doing it to genuinely inspire people and teach people? Yeah. Cool. Are you doing it to like become famous? Yep. You know, the market is so saturated now with everything. We were just talking about it earlier. Yeah. Before we hit record, you guys were having lunch. The market is so saturated with everything now that if you think of something, it's probably already being done in a social media aspect. I don't mean like outside, but so share, you know what I mean? Go for it. But going back to taking something away, I used to feel the same way about cookbooks. I used to buy these big, beautiful, like $100, $200 cookbooks.
I miss buying cookbooks.
Yeah. Man. And people used to always say like, oh my gosh, you spend that much on cookbooks? And it's like, yeah, you know why? Because if I take one or two, if I take one recipe away from this cookbook and I cook that dish for the next 20 years of my life and it's delicious and I enjoy it, then that book has paid for itself. That's what I used to say. And I think going over to another point that you made, you know, people taking something from our content, at the end of the day, that's kind of, we want it to be useful. Yeah. If the content's not useful, then why are we making, you know?
That's why I love showing podcast content regularly, is because there's so many tidbits, and they may not be on point for everybody.
Right.
But the idea is like, someone out there needed to hear that day, you know, like someone needed to hear, it's okay to pivot. it's okay to change. And in fact, if you want to change, probably start changing, because over time you won't regret that choice. I don't think I've ever looked back at my pivot points and gone, damn, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because you adjust along the way too.
Yeah. That's good. No, yeah, you can't have any regrets. And I think, yeah, that the whole point is to have something to offer some people, because there might be something that you're doing that someone wants to do or is looking to do. I just recently launched a new small cooking show. It's called I Suck At. Okay. And it's literally like bare bones. I did a casting call and people wrote in, and I'm just like, tell me what you suck at, and I'll shoot a video on it. And people were like, oh, I suck at roasting chicken. I suck at poaching eggs. I suck at making hollandaise. But one woman in particular, she wrote in, she's just like, I find myself so busy as a mother. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of like taking things away from a video or inspiring a person or teaching a person. One woman wrote me and she was just like, I'm so busy as a mother that every day by the time 6 o'clock comes around, she's like, I have no motivation to cook. I have no ideas what to cook. She's like, and every day it just ends up being like Kraft dinner or chicken fingers. And so it's like, the poached egg videos, the steak videos, all those are fine. But if you can, when you connect to someone on a deeper level like that, if someone can just be like, if they can find use in your content or in your line of work in that way, amazing. Yeah. You know, and again, there's just so much out there these days that if you can just take something small away from it or be inspired somehow, then that's kind of what we do. And I love it. You know, outside of everything that we just spoke about, I love it.
I feel like you've been a natural brand ambassador for your own brand and for yourself. And I feel like, especially in today's world, we're seeing a lot more rising of people becoming micro-influencers, right? So, and when I say micro-influencers, I mean people affecting under 5,000 people. Right. I consider like a mini influencer, 5,000 to 50,000, and then above, and so forth and so forth. Right. So there are scales that you want to, I feel like the micro influence is the most interesting because they are still learning, they're still growing. Yeah. They're making some bold leaps that you can't do when you get well known, right? Like a lot of people come to me like, I want to do a viral video. I'm like, no, you don't, because you have nothing to back it up. Right. You know, if you want to do a viral video, then put 200 videos out to start. Because then at least you'll have some back catalog for them to go through. Exactly. There'd be nothing worse than going viral on your first video, I think. Yeah. And I think, again, there is so much out there. There's just so much out there now that for your chance to nail a viral video is just like, I often joke with my wife. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I have a bad video. One that, you know, you spend 2 hours, you shoot it, you set it up, and it tanks. Mm-hmm. And by tank, I mean like I get 37 likes. Yeah. First thing my wife says to me, she's like, do you love doing it? And I'm like, yeah, it's like, it's great. You know, I love it. So who cares? I don't, it's such a giant machine now that it's like, I can give you some tips on that because there are some very basic things you can do to mitigate some of that. So the first thing is you're spending 2 hours doing this video and you're spending 5 minutes posting it. Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of strategies you can do. The first one is before you start posting on any platform right now, interaction is going to help you gain value. Right. So then when you post, it's more likely to post what you do because what it's looking for is people who are actively engaging on their platforms. Putting that time in. Yeah. Right. So you've got that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you're not doing anything around that video to push people to that video. Right. And that's what 99% of the people do is they put a video out and then like, okay, done. Let it go. Yeah. Right. So you can't just do that. Right. So this is where paid ads come in and all that fun stuff, depending on what you want out of it. Like if you want eyes on the video, then pay for ads and you get thousands. Right. Like those eyes on the ad, though, what are they doing? Are they converting? So are they changing from being a passive user into an engaged user? And what I mean by that is like they're calling you going, hey, come cook for my family or come do this. Right. That's when you get into that point. So there needs to be a reason behind just posting, or the posting itself is good enough, right? Yeah, exactly. No, I think that's true. Like it's how much do you want to invest in it? How much time do you have? How much money do you have? Yep. I think it's so funny. Like the early days of social media was just like, here's my cappuccino. Yeah, you know, and literally like every picture was chronologically like posted. Yeah, and now it's just like, you know, you're scrolling and it's like advertisement. Bro,
and then
Meta's gotten bad, like on Facebook, especially.
Nuts. Oh, it's crazy.
It's like every other on my phone, because I don't have the app. I just go run my phone. It's like 2 and then 1 ad, 2 and then 1 ad.
It's too much. It's too much, man. But also, the screen thing is weird. I like it is, right? Especially with the kids. I'm like, do we? Obviously, like the kids love their iPad. They love their cartoons. They love their YouTube, their Roblox.
Yep.
You know, I know it's coming down the pipe. It's here, you know, like screens, everything. It's like, how much do I want to let them, how much do I want to gatekeep these things? Because it's like, if I let them use them and get good at them, will it help them in the future with their profession or their...
My concern right now is that by training kids on how to use the screens and the technology of today is akin to training them how to use a typewriter.
Right, yeah.
Because the reality is you don't train people to what exists. They will figure that out. What you need to do is train them on the next thing, right? When we see what's coming down the pipeline as far as AI goes, right, on so many levels, that is going to be a more powerful usage of technology. And things like, what's it called? The humane pin. Have you seen that?
No.
It's like a little device they wear here.
Oh.
Removes your phone completely. And so all you do is you just tap it and talk to it. So you can sit there and be like, catch me up on what's going on right now. And it'll be like, oh, Matt DeMille's coming in for a podcast at noon. And then
your phone tells you all that?
No. Like this little unit does.
Oh.
You can put it into a Bluetooth head speaker.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Right? Think of it this way. If you have an AI that's able to go through your emails, go through your calendar, all of that stuff and look and go, this is where you need to be. Or it could ping you and be like, hey, just to give you a heads up, you know, you need to cut this short soon because you've got to get to this really important meeting.
It eliminates you having to have a phone in your hand.
So-and-so's updated this file for you.
Yeah. It's funny. I kind of think I've stepped into that like old man. I don't want to not
you shouting at
physically.
Are you shouting at the clouds?
Yeah. I've kind of like, I've kind of transferred into that old man stage of my life where like physically and mentally I'm not an old man, but maybe mentally, but
I can see a really good clip coming here.
Yeah, the smallest things.
Just that.
Yeah. Okay, maybe physically. But mental, like, it's just the stuff now that the simplest things just blow my mind. Mm-hmm. And there was a time where technology would come into our house and be like, oh yeah, let me set it up. And I'd set it up in like 4 minutes. Now to like connect my watch to my phone, I'm just like, no. Throw on a YouTube video, you know, or even like, when I started leasing my new vehicle, it was like 2022. Got a new vehicle and I got a reverse camera, and I'm just like, so cool. I almost threw up. I'm like, what are you like? What were we doing before that? We were turning our heads.
Yep.
Anyways,
I always love it when I'm reversing and then I'll turn back and I'll see the camera and be like, huh. Like, yeah. I completely forgot that was there. And so you get into those little moments, right? Yeah.
But it's funny to me how, you know, I travel we can put a person on the moon, you know, we can launch, you know, these crazy space probes, or but I travel like an hour north, or I go to Madoc and myself, it just doesn't work. Yeah. You know, not that I go to Madoc a lot. That was a weird.
It's like a very specific.
Yeah. You go to Madoc
on my weekly.
Yeah. Trip to Madoc.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I want to talk about a wonderful time where I think you really came to shine. And you developed out some really good local things. And so there's like a 2-tier thing I want to talk about. Obviously, I want to talk about your love of local and why it's important. But I also want to talk about that lovely little phase of your life called COVID-19. Because COVID-19 for anyone in the restaurant industry was horrible.
Yeah.
It was a hard time because like here's an industry is based on getting a lot of people through their doors into a space, right? So to zero.
Yeah.
So... Tell me about what you did, which was a brilliant idea, by the way, and we still cherish those days.
Yeah, we pivoted super quick, and I think, you know, it was important. Like if you didn't have, you know, $10 million in your bank, I think it was important to pivot quickly, and it was like, how can we make money?
Yep.
What's the market lacking? Said that earlier. What is the market lacking? No one home delivers delicious family meals.
Still to this day, by the way.
Yeah. Yep. And we, what do you want to eat? Oh man, I love shepherd's pie, baked meatballs, cabbage rolls. What else did we do? Taco kits.
Dude, your Swedish meatballs.
Yeah. The Swedish meatballs with like, you know, those like mashed potatoes.
So good. And we're just like sitting there going like, he needs to do this weekly.
Yeah. It was like $75. Yeah. So cheaper, you know, we could feed, I think, what was it? 4 to 6 people.
You could feed 4 people comfortably with a small leftovers for the next day to pick up.
It was like what was it, 75 bucks? Which is,
I think you ended up raising it to 82 at the end of it.
Yeah.
Just because you wanted to cover the costs of delivering it.
Oh, it was crazy. It was just kind of, it was like the Wild West for a bit. It was just like, there was no rules. And
because you were cooking from your house.
We cooked out of our house. It was, it was insane.
Because your kitchen's not huge.
No, it's we have a galley kitchen.
Yeah, about the same size as this studio.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. You've been there. We shot the all-clad stuff there.
Yeah.
But,
that's right. We did.
So we flipped and I'm like, okay, we're going to offer home delivered comfort meals at a great price. And I'll drive anywhere. Cause even though everything else had stopped, the bills don't stop.
No.
Like still getting the cell phone bill, still getting a credit card bill. So what are we going to do? So basically, I would once a week come out with a menu, 2 things, 1 meat, 1 veg. And I always tried to keep it recognizable, but just kind of like something you're not going to make at home. So it's like butter chicken or like I said, cabbage rolls, So it went super well. And the huge part was, like yourself, like repeat customers every week that would
it was part of the week. It was part of the week, man. It was like we looked forward to Thursday night was Matt DeMille night.
That's what you said. You would like, it's like, okay, tonight's Matt DeMille night. And they would come with 6 cupcakes.
It also broke the routine. Because routine was so hardcore then, right? Which is basically, Monday, you're the tribute of the family. You got dressed up like he was going out into, a SARS convention and then goes and gets groceries and then finds whatever groceries are available, comes back, feels like you're part of like Last of Us or something like that.
Yeah.
And then sits down and then like the whole week trickles on bit by bit, right? But the kids are working from home. Everyone's working from home. And so there was just this monotony that you broke up with your delivery service. And it was a high point, right? Like we all loved cooking in the family and we're happily cooked the extra day. But the reality is having that one day where, you show up or your dad shows up and delivers food, says hi, drops cupcakes off. Like, that was, that made it.
It was nice. And we built like a good little system. Like it wasn't super like high tech. It was pretty rudimentary, but it was like basically contactless. Like there were some people that we delivered to that I've never even met. I've still to this day, I don't know what they look like. I just know their name because what we would do is, as you know, we would drop it in a paper bag on their doorstep, text them, hey, thank you. It's been delivered. And we would drive away.
At the end of the driveway and wave. Yeah.
That's it. And I mean, now obviously there's like 1,000 systems.
Skip the dishes and all do that now. Yeah.
To do that.
They do it really well now. They literally get
it's crazy. You know what though? Sidebar. They've really, I feel like that system has really thrown a monkey wrench into a lot of like 100%. Smooth running businesses.
I think right now I think people are starting to go away from it. Because the standardized, the cost of it is quite high.
It's crazy.
Right? But B is there's a lot more moving parts when it comes to delivering food.
Yeah.
Right?
And now you're an employee at whatever, say McDonald's. So you have front counter, you have drive-through, and now you have these 2 other apps that are crazy busy.
Yeah.
So I think it's just an unnecessary, I see why it's being done. I get it.
Do you think we'll see the removal of the drive-through? And replace it with the kind of like skip through?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Drive-thrus are weird. I feel like drive-thrus are starting to break down.
Yes.
I feel like they're starting to take longer than like the whole point of a drive-thru. Well,
because there's too much stuff. Right? Yeah. Like before, when you go to like Tim Hortons, we use them as an example.
6 things.
Like we should get some sponsorship going. Sponsored by Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons before it used to be show up, you get your coffee with some kind of like double, triple, or like double, whatever. It was very simple.
Yeah.
Now it's like, can I have an espresso shot with this? It was never supposed to be that way, right? They should be through the drive-through. Should be coffee, donuts. That's it. If you want a sandwich, walk on in. It's okay. We're happy to give you a sandwich. But the thing is there's the FOMO of like missing out on the sandwich crowd, right? And I'm sure they get tons of breakfast sandwiches and tons of sandwiches at lunch. So that's why they're not doing this. But if they simplified it, they could actually create something cleaner.
You'd be more successful if you simplified.
Well, yeah, because now you can get, instead of like 50 calories free, you can get like almost 150 free, because then people are not sitting there waiting for specific things like that.
QSR restaurants blow my mind. Quick service restaurants. like just all of just how fast they grew, like even especially like the burrito ones. But
the burrito ones just popped out of nowhere.
There's like 7 burrito restaurants in Belleville now. It's crazy. But the like Tim Hortons, and I understand why they do it, because everyone has to be neck and neck, because if McDonald's comes out with a thing, then Tim Hortons has to do it. And if Tim Hortons, so, but along with what you just said, especially that little Tim Hortons out by Walmart there, you go, I'm like, I'm going to grab a coffee. And it's like Chipotle steak rice bowl. And I'm like, how? That building is the size of this room. How is there steak in there? Where's the steak?
It's in the freezer.
And the rice.
Slap it in the microwave.
It's crazy, like the offerings now that these places are giving. Like it used to be, donuts. You can go and get an eclair or like order a cake. Yep. Now they have like a fried chicken set. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. So back to your original question. Yeah. COVID pivoting. We pivoted quick. That was our system. Yeah. It got us through.
Yep.
We really wanted to, one of the major reasons, and this point can kind of be plugged into every conversation we're going to have today. But one of the reasons I kept the menu, one of the reasons I did the menu the way I did is so it would attract to as many demographics as possible. So if I did, say, I don't know, lamb shoulder, and I had it with like some yogurt sauce and grilled pita, maybe I'll get 6 orders this week, 8 orders. Yeah. But if I do pulled pork, and the reason I'm saying pulled pork is because anytime I put pulled pork on that menu,
gangbusters.
Dude, like 12 minutes, I would have 60 orders, shut it down. Yeah. Pulled pork, pack of 6 buns, coleslaw, 6 cupcakes.
Relatable.
Dude.
Keep it relatable.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just like, and that's what I tell, when I'm working, when I work with local establishments and local restaurants, when I'm helping them get their feet up, get off the ground, I say to them, if I came in here with, I love this one. If I came in here with my dad, my grandfather, and my son, there should be something on the menu for all 4 of us to order, 100%. Because that's Belleville. That's the Bay of Quinte. It's not Toronto where it's like a million people who drive Range Rovers and are going to order the crazy.
There's a lot more. There's just a denser population there. So you're going to get we have like a low density population here right now, which I know a lot of people in town would disagree with how busy it's getting. But the reality is it's still very low density comparatively. Yeah. Right? Which means you have a lower data set to pull from. So you might only have 6 people who want grilled lamb. Right. But then you have 60 people, right? That's a 10 times amount of people who want pulled pork. So you have to cater to that, especially when you're in the food industry. Yeah. Right.
And I mean, you can do pulled pork. That's fine. Again, chefs are pretty egotistical. Yep. A lot of chefs would be like, I'm not doing pulled pork. But it's the middle of COVID.
Elevate it.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's the middle of COVID. Let's do pulled pork and sell 60 orders rather than 6 orders. And elevate it. Make your own barbecue sauce. Yeah. Make your own coleslaw dressing. Bake your own, maybe not bake your own buns, but get Rob at small scale to make like some nice buns. But it's about like finding you can still be fancy. Yep. Or you can have like 1 or 2 dishes that are fancy. Yep. But have something for everyone.
I think that's why I really enjoy watching your boule art stuff, is because it's relatable and I can be like, I can pick up that specific product and already halfway there, right? So like I've already got that nice piece of bread ready to go.
Yeah. And that's what it starts with. It's funny that you mentioned that, because that's sort of like the starting point and sort of mission statement with that particular company. It's like, hey, it starts with the bread. Yeah. It's not like, it doesn't start with this like medium rare shaved prime rib. It doesn't, which is already a premium product, or this beautiful like stinky 10-year-old cheese. A sandwich is going to be good with those things.
Yes.
Start with the bread. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well, so that's your baseline, right? Like you got a good bread.
Yeah. Yeah. So, local. That was the second part of your question. Yes. Great segue. The ingredients. Yeah.
Here we go.
Squirrel. You see a squirrel?
Local love. I mean, you're full of it.
Local love. I think...
Because you've lived only in Belleville, or have you lived outside of Belleville?
So my dad's side of the family is from Belleville. Yep. Belleville area. He was working in Ottawa, met my mom in the Ottawa area. I was born in Ottawa, 8 years old, moved here. Okay. But it's, without sounding too like hippy dippy, the product that you receive from the grocery store this day and age lacks so much flavor and lacks so many nutrients that it's, I mean, even from an economical standpoint, it's so important.
Are you talking about pre-made, or are you talking about like
just like
vegetables in general?
I'm mainly speaking about like fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
And meat. Yeah. We'll talk about those things. It's so crazy. It's so crazy that recently I went and, not recently, I guess a few months back, I went and got a big beef order from Opoma Farms. Yep. And the beef was so good. People are so used to like grocery store product that when you do bring the good stuff in and you try the good stuff, that's odd. Yeah. You're like, oh, it's the fat is yellow. Yeah, because that cow has been eating grass its whole life.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh my gosh, it like smells this way. Yeah, because it's aged and it's yeah. So I think it's crazy how that's backwards. But most things, as I was saying earlier, most things from the grocery store lack so much in flavor and so much in nutrients that when you go the extra mile and buy things from a farmer or a farm stand or someone local, that it's going to blow your mind.
I mean, that's the burger revolution difference.
Yeah, and I think things are easy now, right? You go to the grocery store, like before, someone told me recently that grocery stores weren't popular until like the 50s and 60s. And before that, you went here to get your dry good items. You went to the butcher to get your meat, and you went to the farmer to get your fruits and veggies. Now it's all under one roof, and you can get a jogging suit and rent a movie. Like it's perfect. It's insane. But
I like the jogging suit. It's great.
Yeah. We need a jogging suit brand so we can get that sponsor too.
Very amazing.
Where was I going with that? But yeah, so we started, a couple months ago, I reached out to a local farm, Arcadia Farms, and I started doing a weekly CSA with them.
Yep.
And they were giving me a cooler full of fresh fruit and veg every week. I would go Monday mornings, 20-minute driveway, Trent Hills, beautiful drive. And I would bring cooler with me. I would load it into my cooler. $30-$35. I got fresh chickens, and I'm not giving them like a special, like, just saying like a farmer in general.
It could be any farmer. Like the idea is that you're trying to keep it close to home because that they're taking the time and the passion, the effort it requires. And also they're not so over encumbered that they're having to resort to different systems to keep up volume.
But why is the conversation that now? Like, why am I emphasizing like go to a farmer, don't go there, where it should be
the other way around?
It should just be the norm.
Yeah.
And I bet some people are going to watch this and be like, why is he making such a big deal about going to a farmer? Because that's all we do is go to a farmer. And like people used to, people grow their, maybe I'm just so, I'm just so out, not into it, that like I don't see it a lot, but when people grow their own fruit and veg, or when people try it out themselves, like just the difference is incredible. A tomato from your garden or from a friend's garden compared to like a grocery store tomato. I had right before I left to Toronto, I worked at an Italian restaurant, and the executive chef, his name was Rocco. His rule was, it was a Roman restaurant, or Italian restaurant, and he was like, you can only use for each dish, 3 ingredients.
Yep.
So
that's a very Italian way.
Exactly. And you would think that would make things difficult, but that allowed those 3 ingredients can now be the best. They can be the best ingredients.
Yeah.
So it's like, instead of throwing 12 things into a pasta, you can only use 3 now, but it's like the best guanciale, the best olive oil, amazing sheep's milk cheese. And now that pasta is it's
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's important. Like I said, kind of wrapping it up economically, I think it's important because those guys, they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to show you something. I think, shopping local, again, it does sound cheesy, but it's nutrient dense, which is great for you. If you eat a carrot from like a local farm compared to a carrot at the grocery store, the taste, the flavor, the nutrients are going to blow your mind. Yeah. I just see when I go and pick up my CSA on my way home, I'm just like eating arugula out of the cooler
because it's that good.
And like my eyes are watering. It's like so spicy. And I'm like, it's that good. It doesn't even need dressing.
Yeah.
And I think it's important.
Yeah.
Very important.
I think growing up in England and France, that was the one thing that I did learn was like the importance of good local food, and coming over here and realizing that wasn't the norm here. Right? It was very much that, and so learning how to like navigate the and kudos to some supermarkets, they are changing the way that some of the food is bought. Like you're starting to see like locally grown XYZ, and they're trying to do that, which is good. I know that personally I love going to Freshco right now because it has an abundance of different vegetables, different fruit. Like we're trying out different stuff that we never would have had access to before.
Great cultural section, multicultural section.
Yeah, I had a massive conversation with this guy about, oh gosh, I can't remember what we were talking about, but he was basically, he's like, oh yeah, we cook it like this, we do this, and he's excited, and I'm like, I should just stand here and just have a podcast conversation with people here because like that to me is far more exciting than showing up and going like, you know, what's the best way to make pulled pork, right? I'm bashing on pulled pork a bit, but like that's become the norm, right? So I wanted to make something out of it that's different.
It's, you know, and I forget what I was just going to say. I was going to bring up a good point. Oh, I feel like a huge contributor to that, and this is going like stepping way back and looking at the big picture, is that I feel like this place geographically hasn't had time to build its own culture.
I think we're really close right now.
You think so?
Yeah.
If you look at France, like you look at Italy, they've had hundreds and hundreds of years to like develop their own things.
I think we're just, this area was an agricultural area, so we already have really good roots there, right? And we're growing out in that way. And I feel like that's why I keep staying in Belleville as opposed to moving out of Belleville, is there's so many options. You get a little taste of, it's not the city life by any means, but it's definitely more city-esque when you're in the city. But then you also can take 5 minutes to leave the city and you're in the countryside. Yeah. Whether you want to be on a lake, in the in the hills, or in the forest, you've got it here, right? And go a little bit further and you got golden sand.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a great jump off spot. I think a lot of people do have pretty a negative outlook on this region, and I think a lot of people, I think if you're going to complain about something, like if you're not contributing to it, like
then you're just taking.
Yeah. And it's so, I mean, I joke, like Facebook is crazy. It's the worst. You know what I mean?
So I don't do much social media.
Yeah.
And so one of my friends at a networking group I am in, they're like, oh, there's this network group called Belleville Neighbors. Oh. And he's like, it's just off the chain. And I'm like, crazy. I don't want to know. It's bad. And so every single post that's on there is just followed by negativity. Vitriol, yeah.
Right. And so like you just explained, if you look at the big picture, it's like trails. Yeah. Some of the best golf courses in Canada.
I just choose to focus on the good and to build out from there.
Yeah.
Right? And I can always build around that. There's always going to be like shitty things happening.
Anywhere you go.
Right? So just make the best of what you've got, right? Not being too like.
And I think this might be like a cheesy thing to say, but it's a huge blank canvas. Whatever you want to do, you might be the first person to think about it in this area, or there may be like one, maybe two other people doing it. Yeah. Because if you live in a large area like Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to start doing my own in-home cooking lessons. Yeah. There's probably 15 to 20 other people doing it.
Yeah, they've already got maybe like more. 2 years on you.
Yeah. But if you decide to do something, you figure out like what the niche is or what the market is lacking, and you're like, I'm going to do this. Well, there's probably no one else doing it at the moment here, and you could be a pioneer in that. So I think that's kind of one of the interesting things of living in a smaller town is it's like, it's small, but the way communications work now, the way our communicating systems and social media works now, it's like you could live in the Antarctica and you're within a 2 minute, you're 2 seconds, you're connected with anyone. Yeah. So I don't think it hinders you. I think, if people are bummed out that there's, no good restaurants, or if there's, it's fine. It's a great jump off spot. It has what you need. Just got to look at it in a positive way. Like you said, the trails, the things surrounding this area are great. It's a Vanderwater. You and I used to go to, to run at Vanderwater Park. It has a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
Show me anywhere else. If you wanted to go to a beautiful area like that in Toronto, it's a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still,
It's great. Exercising.
Yeah, I know. I don't even want to go into that because I know you're super into the exercising as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like that could be its own podcast in itself.
Yeah.
So I want to wrap our conversation with one last talk about UGC and also how important is it now for brands to be content creators? Mm-hmm. And what are the complications that you see for people in that realm? Because recently I've noticed you've been ramping up your work.
Yeah.
You've been doing more and more outgoing, and which is awesome because that's honestly, it just makes awareness.
Yeah, I think, obviously it's important to follow trends. I do agree that I think it is important. There are some companies, there are some brands that can get away with not posting a single thing. But most of those people, might have someone else that does it, or they might have a company, an agency that does it. But I think that it's engaging. I think that's how you engage people. That's obviously how, like when we first started, that's how we got people to know we were out there. That's how we would show off our menus for COVID, and just show people that if you're running any specials, or that's how you connect with people, because most people are on there, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Instagram. I think that Instagram in particular is so amped up now that it is important to post quality things. And I'm not saying that you have to go out and buy a $2,000 camera or, just taking a moment and looking at things with a critical eye, reflecting on what you're doing. And the good thing is now, like when we first started Instagram, you and I, there was no like how-tos, or there was no one showing you how to do it. But there's so much how-to out there now as well that you can, look up YouTube videos. There's Instagram videos. You can pay for kits or online courses, which is good. But no, I think it is for entrepreneurs, for companies. I think it's not 100% necessary, but I think it's a good idea just to have a presence, to show people what you're doing, to get people excited about what you're doing, and also just to, I don't want to like spread the exposure
how are you
of what you're doing.
Tell people about your brand otherwise, right? You got your advertising, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell people that social media is basically an open book. You can be advertising on there, right?
Yeah.
But bring to the table inspiration, some education, some entertainment, right? All of those it's all looped into social media now. Social media is today's newspaper,
it's crazy.
is today's radio, is today's TV. Yeah. So just take all of those mediums and smush them together, and that's what social media is. That's what it is.
And you know what? You advertising, we've spoken about advertising here a few times, but advertising and marketing now blows my mind. Like when we were a kid, it was like TV, obviously, commercials,
billboards,
the billboards, side of a bus,
and then print,
newspaper, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now, the things that people are creating for influencers, these activations, just to advertise something through influencers, blows my mind. I can give you 2 examples because it makes complete sense. If there's a billboard and it says, watch the new season of Game of Thrones, how many people are going to drive by that billboard a day? Maybe a couple hundred, right? But if you have a Game of Thrones activation and 10 influencers go through there and combine those 10 influencers, and I know I'm speaking to preaching to the choir here, but if those 10 influencers have combined 2 million followers, then now 2 million people are seeing, you don't have to drive by that billboard.
For the same price as it would be to do a billboard.
It's crazy. I did this thing at a winery a few months ago in Prince Edward County, and it was for the new season of what's the one with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston? I
don't really watch much TV. So.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, some Netflix show, and they were launching the second movie. I think it was a movie, not a show. Anyways, so they decorated this winery like the show, and it was insane, and they had all these influencers come in. But it just like that being a corner of advertising and marketing now is so interesting. And like the amount of people that would be exposed to now. And that's just like, that's PC. Like maybe they're doing it in New York, maybe they're doing it in Chicago, maybe, you know what I mean? Yeah. And more people are seeing it because I don't watch TV anymore.
No,
you don't watch, there's no advertisements on Netflix. Yep. How do we show these people? You know, so yeah, it's very, I think for a company, it's very interesting. And I think using quirky ways, like the other day I saw this advertisement on my Facebook for a cold plunge tub, right? And this girl is getting into the cold plunge tub, but as you're going by it, it shows you like the still first before when you stop on it, starts the video. Yeah. Well, of course the still is like her butt. It's got a bathing, she's got a bathing suit on, but the still is her butt. And you're like, oh, hang on, hold up. And you stop and it's her getting into the cold plunge tub. You're like, you got me with the butt. You know, so it's just like the creative ways that people are luring you in now is insane. Yeah. It's so cool. Like, you know, these zombie games on your phone, it'll be like an actor, you know, shooting zombies. And he's like, you got to try season 2 of Zombie Hunter. And it's like, you know, so now these like actors or, you know, the way that they're luring you in, or when you see that first grab,
it's changed.
It's crazy.
I love some of the live action ones that they have there, where there's like this thin film that you can put over windows now. Yeah. And it can become stuff, so they like have like green waves hitting the side of a building or something. There was one that was like a big tiger that was like prowling along the edge of like the top of the building, it looked like.
That's for like Adidas or something.
And you're like, and then it like jumps and like drops down to and then you realize that downstairs is big screens too. But it's like
that's nuts,
insane.
Yeah. And even I don't know. It's just it's amazing.
What do they call it? The Sphere in Vegas. Like that thing is insane.
Yeah. Like, is it an advertisement? Do they do advertising on it?
On the whole exterior, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I don't know. I think that'd be something to get interested. You know, another life or another alternate universe Matt would be interested in, because it's just being like smart, being cunning, and just like grabbing people. Yeah. You know, what do you look at? Like what catches your eye? You know what I mean?
It has to be really smart. So for me, like, because I consume so much advertising to see what works and what doesn't, I get very good at noticing, and I'm often finding myself getting pulled back to some of the old school, really well done print ads, right? And then applying it in new formats, right? Yeah, so like we just did a billboard for Jeff Murray. Actually, where instead of having his logo on there, we actually put the logo in the seats. So if you're looking and you see him sitting in, and it's like he's in a hockey arena, and he's got like a whole bunch of seats behind him. Okay. But if you look carefully, his logo is in those seats. Right. And so he's kind of like starting there because we want to show like he's this really interesting person that kind of like grows into more than just himself. Right?
Do you think someone who loves advertising or does advertising or marketing, are they more interested in like grasping that sales, like the end product, getting that sale, or are they more interested in creating the project or the piece of work?
So think of it this way.
Yeah.
If I gave you...
Welcome to my podcast, by the way.
I know, I like this. I like this. This is a really good question, because it's something that I've been asked before, but never on camera. If someone came to you and asked you to make a dish, but you can only use red and green ingredients, nothing else. You've been given some guidelines, boundaries, right? So the same is true with advertising. So someone comes to you and says, hey, we really want to see more people get onto our website. We really want to see this, right? And we can usually break it down into sectors. Awareness being knowing about the brand. Then there's conversions. So like we want to see people not only knowing about our brands, but actually converting and becoming people who we can engage with, right? Most of the time, advertising sits in that engagement to awareness area. Yeah. With predominance being in the awareness. So the idea when you go into an ad is like, we just have to make people aware of this. Well, this becomes even more exciting now, because now you can build out something truly unique and different, and have fun with it, because you know that you want to show them in the right light and who they are and what they stand for.
I guess it's interesting being a marketer and advertiser, because now there are so many avenues of being able to do it, right?
Well, you have so many mediums, right? Before it's like your print, your TV, your radio, right? Now we can smush them all together. Like we're looking at doing a campaign for the city, which has not only print, but then the print can become media on its own. So it can become like an ad within like digital mediums, basically.
Right.
So
I always thought an interesting idea to advertise. This is kind of like sidebar. An interesting way to market and promote the area is almost doing like an undercover boss thing, where it's like Matt's got a mustache on and a hairnet today. He's going to work at Sprague Canning or this orchard. You know, he's but it's like undercover boss. So I'm there and I'm like doing the hard work and I'm sweating. I'm like, I got to pick apples. Oh, my nails will get scratched. You know, like
I would just love to see this area as like almost like a TV show. Just like one, like, you know, like.
It's like a positive reality show or something.
A positive reality show, and then just have all the different kind of characters in the show and stuff. Because I mean, as you go into this area as a business owner, especially, you get to see some key players consistently showing up, and you're like, okay, well, who were they first? Who were they before they got to where they are? It's like they just put the time in, right? And it's just like, you know, it's going out there and doing the same thing over and over. You get better at it, right?
Yeah, so that's so true. I think over time, we do see more and more people doing it, but I think, you know, if I did have one final thing, or if, you know, to wrap things up, I think, not saying we have to wrap up, but I know your question, you were saying that was the wrap up question, but I think if there is one takeaway from this segment, and, you know, we talked about pivoting, but also I think it's, if people want to have a go at it, or if people want to have their own business or try something new, whatever it is, I think it's just doing something different, you know? And I think we're seeing a lot of individuals, like beautiful storefronts and like great brands and
just like coming out, like a great example, and to plug Benji's. Have you been there?
Dude, I'm just like,
it's incredible, right?
I love it when I'm, and this is, I don't mean Benji's in particular, but I love it when I am, like, what's the word? Like, not happily surprised, but pleasantly surprised. You know, when you go, you're like, oh, let's go try out this new stuff, and you go try it, and you're just like, damn. Like, because, not saying we have low expectations or anything, but it's like, you know, I feel 5 years ago, 10 years ago, people were just making their logo on iPaint, or maybe they're like going on Canva and making their new logo on no offense to Canva, I've used it for stuff, but it's like when we just rebranded our business, and I said, from the top to the bottom, from my logo to our Instagram favicon to my signature, I want it amazing woman from Prince Edward County. Her name's Nancy. She did it for us, and it blew my socks off, from like our first initial phone call and then to the mood boards. And I think people are starting to do it properly. And I'm not saying it has to be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, but there's a proper,
there is a certain price point that I find that you get quality. Now you can get lucky, you can get lucky and get someone who's climbing that chain. Right? And you can capture that early time where it's like, you know, oh, these guys do really good work, but they're undervalued. Right? Because as you get busier, you have to increase your value to keep up, so you can grow and build and do all of that. But eventually there's this point where your value matches your output. Right?
For sure.
And at the beginning, your value is lower, right? So I say that to anybody getting into the creative industry. I'm like, your value is significantly lower than where it will be. That's because right now you're performing at a higher rate than what you probably can do, right? So you're kind of, you're always pushing the bar, right? And you'll get to the point where over time you'll catch that up, and they'll they'll
you'll get there.
Equilibrium, right?
I think you come to a comfortable spot where you're right there and you're busy, and there's the right demographic are paying for what you're doing. But I think, you know, if you, as far as marketing branding goes, pay for something good, because, you know, you get what you pay for. Absolutely. And I think pay for good stuff, but also know your worth and charge what you're worth, because I think, I think people a lot of the times either undercharge or they overcharge, you know, and I think that we have seen that in this region a little bit, where people got a little greedy and they're like, I'm going to charge this much a night for my Airbnb. Why isn't anyone staying in my Airbnb?
Airbnb's dropped dramatically, eh?
No, I haven't. No, I didn't know they dropped. But it's like, what do I want to do? Do I want to go stay at this Airbnb for 3 nights, or do I want to take my family to Mexico for a week? Like, it's
crazy.
You be careful, you know, like obviously it's weird. Like you said, there's a sweet spot.
Because I think right now everything is overpriced.
But
everyone has to overprice to keep up with the overpricing. So you got this kind of weird dichotomy right now where everyone's like, where inflation being what it is and the beast that it is, right? It said, we're going to increase everything. Well, and everybody who's got a house or a car or anything that they've got from the bank is suddenly seeing payments like double. And so they now have to make adjustments. And so they're just turning around saying, well, that's the cost of living now.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a scary place because that's not normal. We haven't experienced that in our lifetime. So to see it balloon as quickly as it has is insane, right? Like I'm not looking forward to my next mortgage payments when they go and finally update.
Oh my gosh.
That I'm not looking forward to.
Well, it's like, when we, at the start of the conversation, we were talking about, when I used to cook with people, when I did the in-home cooking lessons, one of our offerings was I would show people how to roast like a big steak where we got these big steaks, and it wasn't by any means like the best cut, but what I like to do is I would show people how to take this affordable cut and cook it and flavor it and cook it properly so it was just as good as a ribeye or just as good as.
But there is a flip side to that too. Yeah. And you know exactly where I'm going with this is some of those cheaper cuts have now become bougie cuts.
Exactly.
Because of that. And chefs taking it. So I think what chefs need to do is just be willing to, change it up depending on the market. Because, right now, lobsters are super expensive. If you go back 50 years, they were cheap.
Yeah, they were garbage. They were,
Yeah.
And I don't think that, this is more of like a food chat, but I think, people are, you don't need lobster, you don't need caviar, you don't need what else, prime rib, you don't need like filet mignon, you don't need those things to have a beautiful, delicious dinner. Oysters. Yeah. You can get, other ingredients that will, if you treat them properly, they will be just as delicious, and you're not spending your whole bunch of cash on one thing, So lobsters always blew my mind. Like they're delicious.
Yeah. They're like big shrimp.
Well, I'm just
like you say that they taste like big shrimp.
Giant shrimp, but also like I just bought this sea bug for $60.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out half of it.
Yeah.
And the other half tastes like shrimp.
Make some stock. Make some stock, man. I can tell you how if you like.
I'll give them the bones to you. Shells. I'll give them to you. Shells. I'll drop it off at your house with cupcakes.
We made like the best fish stock.
Yeah.
But then we didn't deal with it afterwards. And so they just sat in the fridge, and I'm like,
throw the whole pot out. Don't even. I wouldn't even take the saran wrap off that one.
I did not. I was like,
Poppy. You wanna? Dude, I'm the worst for that.
What are you doing, kid?
Yeah, I'll like forget something in my truck, and I'm like, oh, Leo.
Yeah.
Can you? Yeah, that's great. That's like one of the best things about having kids.
So to wrap, how do people find you? What are you up to? Man. What do you want to plug? Like, what's some?
mattdemille.com is our website. We do consulting, we do wedding, we do large scale catering, small scale catering, consulting. I'm very proud. I'm really amping up the consulting aspect of the business, and it's just so great to be able to have years of experience and to be able to pass that on to local organizations who maybe can't find a chef or a kitchen manager or can't afford a chef or kitchen manager, to be able to give them some knowledge to help them get off the ground. Instagram, Matthew DeMille, Matt DeMille Culinary. Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
No, thank you. This has been great.
What were we just talking about? Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah.